Mahusiano ni kushirikiana.
Mahusiano ni kufahamiana.
Mahusiano ni ujamaa.
Mahusiano ni upendo.
Mahusiano ni maelewano.
Mahusiano ni maridhiano.
Mahusiano ni gharama.
Mahusiano ni kila kitu.
Kama tulivyosikia, kila mtu ana mtazamo wake wa mahusiano ni nini. Ambacho hakipingiki ni kwamba mahusiano ni muhimu katika maisha ya kila binadamu. Pamoja na hilo, wataalamu na watafiti mbalimbali wamethibitisha kwamba mahusiano yasiyo na afya ni miongoni mwa vihatarishi vya kupata changamoto ya afya ya akili na kupata magonjwa ya akili kama vile sonona. Katika msimu huu wa Mental Glow, tutaenda kuelimisha kuhusu changamoto mbalimbali za mahusiano zinazoathiri afya zetu za akili na jinsi ya kukabiliana nazo. Please tune in. Hey Mental Glowers, welcome back to the final episode of Mental Glow with Jacqueline Oden. It's been a journey and I am super grateful. I'm excited. We've come a long way, guys. We've been talking about relationships in this season and we've covered several angles. We've talked about relationship with our siblings, relationship with our colleagues, romantic relationships, and I hope kupitia hizo topics, kupitia hizo episodes, you've learned something and at least season hii ikiisha umengamua kitu. So I am excited and I am grateful that you've been keep on tuning in to learn. It takes a lot. It takes your MBs, money, time. So I do appreciate you tuning in and I hope that you continue tuning in even in the third season, and please do share this podcast with your friends and your loved one. All right, so if it's your first time to tune into Mental Glow, please do join us on our Instagram and X page at Mental Glow TZ. And if you want to chit chat or talk about anything related to mental health, please do not hesitate to reach out to us and we will get back to you. Okay, so this is the final episode, guys, and it's an honor. I'm saying this out of love, out of appreciation. It's an honor to be joined with Dr. Moira Hennessey. She's a clinical psychologist and public health specialist with over 20 years of experience. You can imagine, right? So she's the perfect person to be in this episode as we will be talking more about psychologists, how can they better take care of themselves as they also serve other people. You know, you guys have a lot of questions when it comes to the area, psychology and psychologists in general. Like, so many questions that you always ask me, and I feel like this episode, all of those questions, or at some point, some of those questions will be answered. And so, yeah, welcome, Dr. Moira.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be sitting here with you and talking about self-care.
Right?
I have been tuning into the season.
Oh yeah, she's the best. She always tunes in. She always gives the feedback like, yo, this was really nice.
I have to tell you, there's so many gems to hold on to and to take with you. So if you haven't listened, I hope you'll go back and listen to the other episodes. Please do. Yeah. And so, so another thing, so Dr. Moira is also my mentor. Something to brag about. Something for me to brag about, because I get to meet with you on the regular.
And she also, one thing that she always emphasizes is the importance of self-care. Like, she always checks in. Have you take time to, put you first? And that's always like a reminder for me, as I, reach out to people, serve other people. It's always a reminder that I should also set time to, look after myself. And so thank you so much for always reminding me that. And I hope that also if there is a psychologist listening, or even caregiver or healthcare provider listening right now to this episode, she'll be able to relate and also put something into action. All right. So before we get started, we do have Glow quizzing, where I get to ask you a random question that you didn't expect. So here we go. Do you believe that psychologists are superheroes?
I think that there's some superhero in all of us.
Yeah.
So I do believe that psychologists are superheroes. But that doesn't mean that we're superhuman.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We're still human.
Yeah.
We still come with the same body, the same willy as everyone else.
Yeah.
And even though we can do extraordinary things and help people, we also have to take care of ourselves.
True. And this is a reminder because in this episode, as you've said, we take care of other humans. It doesn't make us less of humans, And so that I wish, and what I'm hoping for this episode is for us to address several misconceptions surrounding, psychologists and offering different aspects of self-care for psychologists and healthcare providers in general. So yeah, guys, get excited, buckle up, and
I'm excited.
I wish you guys, I wish this was a video, like you could have just seen her face right now. And so yeah, okay, so the first question, as I've said before, many people have certain misconceptions when it comes to psychologists or even the field itself, psychology. For instance, others believe that since we've been trained, to provide mental health services, and that means that we do not experience, personal challenges or even emotional struggles. And this even puts us in a position where if we say that, I'm burnt out or I'm feeling stressed, something is not working out, and people are like amazed, like how comes you've got it sorted out, you can help yourself. And so you being a clinical psychologist with all those years of experience, how do you respond to that?
Such a good question. I think sometimes that question actually comes from the fact that we've all grown up in cultures where of shame around vulnerability, shame around mental health.
True.
So there's that idea that you've studied this, so you won't experience any trouble.
True.
But people are people.
Yeah.
And we are going to experience big emotions. We're going to experience challenges. If we are never experiencing challenges and we're never failing and having big emotions, it probably means we're not growing and we're not really living.
Yeah.
I mean, how boring would that be?
True.
If we never felt scared and moved through that and challenged ourselves and did a brave thing and learned something new about us.
That's what life is all about.
It is what life's all about. And something that I know as a psychologist that maybe non-psychologists might not know is it's not that because people have big feelings, you have to inherently worry about them. Actually, if people are not feeling, if they're having a lot of numbness or they're not feeling motivated in life or having what in psychology we call apathy, actually you might worry for them a little bit more.
Yeah,
it's
true.
kind of like, if someone had cut your hand with a knife and you didn't bleed, that actually wouldn't
That's
be
strange.
helpful.
Yeah.
Right? Because
Something wrong with you.
yeah, the blood, it takes care of you, it cleans you. And similarly, all the emotions that we have, they're information. They're these, it's like an alama to say to us, like, here's a sign or a signal of some new information.
Yeah, something needs to be done.
Yes, there's something to pay attention to, something to learn about here.
True.
So I would hate it if I didn't have big feelings from
Right.
time to time.
Yeah, and for also, for people too to see that you have those feelings. Yeah, because at some point, I always say this too, like we are all humans, and even though we are wired differently, we still feel and we still respond to different, stimuli, and so we should give it to ourselves.
Yes.
We're entitled to our feelings, and they're valid, right?
Yes, feelings are always valid because they're just one piece of information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys, I mean, stop all that. I mean, we don't. I just hope if you're listening right now and when this episode is over, just stop it. I mean, be that person that champions for, mental health and have a positive outlook when it comes to that. We are all humans, and it doesn't make us, yes, we're psychologists, yes, we have more information, more ways on how we can deal with things. We do have that awareness, but still, we are all entitled with our feelings and everything. And it doesn't mean that if we are psychologists, if we look up for other people, it doesn't make us less of, human beings.
Yeah. Well, and I wonder if part of that misconception about psychologists comes from the fact that maybe we don't show some of our feelings in the same way or intensity as people who aren't psychologists. There's this famous saying that between a stimulus, like a thing that's happening, and a response, what we do or show, freedom lives in between the stimulus and the response. And as psychologists, we do learn how to practice taking that pause, taking that noticing, so we're able to maybe choose how we show our feelings more. But just because we're not showing them, it doesn't mean we're not having them. Yeah.
And also just want to add, I think it's something that you mentioned the other day. The slight difference is that if there is a problem, we are more able to recognize it as compared to another person who has no knowledge or even awareness of what mental health is. And so when we get that, more like an alarm, then we find ways to act. What can I do now? And so it's even easier as compared to other people. And so, and in that sense, or in that aspect, it makes other people not even recognize that we even go through some things. And so, like as the way you've just explained that makes more sense. Yeah. And so, given what you said, as a psychologist yourself again, what are some of your go-to practices for self-care? How do you maintain a balance between your work and personal life? One of the things that some of my friends ask me, how do you go back to sleep or back to your home place as you've spent the whole day, having sessions with your clients? Don't you ever, is there not a nagging thought that you continuously keep on thinking about your client? You go to sleep thinking about your client. Like, how do you create a balance? How do you prioritize self-care for you to, let your clients be your clients? You just get out of the, counseling room. It's done there, and you're just moving on with your life. How do you create that balance and prioritize self-care?
Yeah, I mean, it's a commitment. It's a commitment to taking care of yourself. Some of the things that I do to have self-care and take care of myself are, normal things like exercise.
I love exercising.
Well, there's so many fun and interesting things we can do to exercise. And for me, a huge piece of my self-care is about fun and humor. When you're sitting with people and it's serious and you're sitting in the hard things, it's such a privilege to be in that, that private space with people. So we do take it really seriously. So it's important then in the rest of life to create, again, if you could see my hands, I'm moving them back and forth like a balance. That word balance, that work-life balance, it comes from somewhere. So if your work is very much, in your head and in your words, and then it's really important that you balance that out, counterbalance by doing things that are physical, doing things that are light, not taking yourself as seriously
Yeah.
during the rest of your day.
Yeah.
But it is really, really important to know that, like, the way our nervous systems work, I'm telling Jackie this as if she doesn't know this, but Mental Glower, she knows so much. Our nervous system, the way it works is it tries to save us time. So if, like, hard things are happening in the world around us, our nervous system will kind of, like, flip a switch and say, I'm going to be, like, in fight or flight. I'm either going to be very energized and activated up, or maybe, you know what, I need to chill and pull back and be very slow. And, so our system says, stay here in one of those places in order to conserve our energy and take care of us. That makes sense on one hand, but we actually work best when we're going up and down and back and forth, in and out of these states of being. So that's why it's just so important to try to create variety in your days and your life. And self-care is going to look different for every person. Actually, that's not why I started answering this question. Jackie, let me go backwards. So one thing I was going to say is sometimes when I am impacted by my work, it's easy to click out of the self-care practice. So even if I don't feel like doing it, I have to say to myself, you know what, it's time to do it. Like a habit, like brushing your teeth. Because for me, I think you know this, that I love people. I love people.
That you do.
I love being in it with people, what have you. But if I'm not careful to not turn that off sometime and just have some mindless time for me, watch a stand-up comedy show, just be by myself. It's easy to get clicked out and into just that one mode of operating. And then I won't realize that I haven't taken care of myself. So scheduling it, putting it on your Ratiba, people, is really, really important. Yeah.
I'm learning new things about you every day. I just learned that you watch comedy.
Yes, just this week. Had to watch some Trevor Noah.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, to balance out
Love him.
a little bit of stress.
He's
from
funny.
Monday.
He's hilarious. My favorite is Kevin Hart, actually.
All right.
All right, let's go to the third question. This is a little bit personal.
Sure.
Yeah. Have you ever sought therapy?
Only totally. Yes. Yeah, I've sought therapy a few times in my life, and it's been really, really important for me. I think it was important for me personally, but also, and in addition to that, it's made me such a better psychologist and therapist. If you never put yourself in the position of accepting help and being in that role, it's really hard to imagine what it's like. And if you work with a fantastic therapist or psychologist, then, you have another role model in a way. But yeah, I sought therapy in my early 20s when I was going through a transition. And I was feeling pretty low, and it was wonderfully important and helpful for me. I learned so much more about me. It's actually where I made the decision to move to Tanzania.
Ah,
yeah,
nice.
Because I liked the word Zanzibar and thought it was fun to say, and somehow I had this little heart connection here, so I learned more about it, and that's what brought me here. But I've been a few times since then when some hard things have happened, and I think it's really important. We wouldn't expect a surgeon to just operate on herself.
Right.
And we wouldn't expect a teacher to never go into a classroom again as a student.
You just reminded me. So during the Global Health Film Festival, after our panel discussion, so when we stepped out. One of the people that were watching reached out to me, and she said, "Oh my God!" So you remember I talked about how I was, seeing a psychologist when I was in my final year of pursuing my bachelor degree, and so she referred to it, and she was like, I'm so shocked. Like, why do people, expect psychologists to help themselves while doctors do, whenever they face, headaches or even some minor physical changes, they usually go to another doctor. How can a surgeon, operate himself? I'm like, psychologists deserve big time, to have their own personal psychologist. And I was like, yes. I mean, I didn't say it out loud, like, during the panel discussion, but I was like, this is what I was trying to, this was the point of everything. And so, yeah, please continue.
Yeah, no, I think it's so important. And, it's true, we can help ourselves with a lot of things, but just because we can doesn't mean we should.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So...
Love that. Just because we can doesn't mean we should.
I think that about women all the time. I think that about psychologists. I think that about helping professions. Just because we can carry heavy things doesn't mean we should carry them alone.
Yeah, true.
When you have an opportunity. And sometimes also, we live in a world that isn't an easy world. When we look at what's happening in the community, when we look at what's happening around the world, and sometimes, we're just human beings too, and sometimes things bump into us that are hard.
Yeah.
What's happening in Palestine, or a loss in our family, or whatever. And if that thing bumps into us too hard, we can get a little bit of a crack in our cup, right? And you can use your own self-knowledge and fill that cup and fill that cup and fill it with self-care. But if there's a little crack in it, you need someone to help you.
Yeah, true.
Notice where that is and fix it up.
Yeah. So, Dr. Moira, based on your experience, this is what I even asked myself before I went for a counseling session. Like, how were you able to draw the line between your professional knowledge, quite a lot, and being open and responsive to receiving help from another psychologist? How were you able to draw the line?
Yeah.
Was there any point you were like, no, this isn't the question you should ask me?
No, I think it's a great question. It's such a good question because...
during the counseling session.
That's funny. Well, isn't that interesting? I don't think I've ever thought that. But, I think it's about being prepared to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And, being prepared to be vulnerable, being prepared to be open, and, letting go of this idea that even we probably have internalized, that I should be able to take care of this myself. I don't need to be doing this because I'm a psychologist. We internalize the same thing sometimes. I think that, just really remembering what you actually know and think, which is mental health is for everyone. We're all helped by these services, etc. Even if inside, over the years, you just drank the tea on, no one should need this. So I think it's important, but. I work with, clinically, I work with a lot of doctors and a lot of therapists as my patients, as well as my colleagues. And it's really important to create a little bit of a ritual, for before you go into your own session with the therapist, so that you're just you're taking a break and breaking out of that role. Yeah. Because it is really easy to stay in the therapist role, the psychologist role.
True. And also, what did I want to say? I feel like at some point, based on our work, we spend a lot of time listening to, our clients and everything. I also feel like at some point, we also need our own safe space to, let it all out.
Yes.
And so, we don't need psychologists.
Yes. I think it's really important. Whether and the safe place can be journaling, it can be chatting to friends, but when you are a helper, I think many psychologists and social workers, helpers, they don't want to be a burden to other people.
Yeah.
So even if we have a friend or a family member who says, no, like, tell me, talk to me, we sometimes hold back because we don't want for them to take on that pain. So it's really important to have that sort of safe space.
Thank you so much, Dr. Moira. And so before we move on, let's go on break, guys, and we will get back to you in a few seconds.
Tunaishi katika zama za kasi ambapo watu wana majukumu mengi na mara nyingi husahau na wengine hupuuza umuhimu wa kupunguza mwendo na kujali afya zao za akili. Usiwe na wasiwasi. TAHMEF imeleta suluhisho la kubadilisha maisha yako popote ulipo, ambalo ni program ya ahadi inayokupa urahisi wa kupata msaada wa kisaikolojia.
Hebu nikueleze baadhi ya vipengele vyake bora. Ya kwanza ni helpline au msaada. Ukiwa una maswali yoyote au unahitaji msaada kuhusu jinsi ya kutumia program hii, helpline itakusaidia kutatua maswala yako. Ya pili ni therapy au tiba ya kisaikolojia. Katika hii unapata fursa ya kuhifadhi kipindi cha tiba ya kisaikolojia, iwe ya mtu binafsi, kwa wanandoa au kwa ajili ya mtoto wako kulingana na upatikanaji wako. Ya tatu ni jarida au journal. Kupitia uandishi unaweza kuelezea hisia zako, kutambua mifumo na kufuatilia maendeleo yako kwa wakati. Ya nne ni community au jumuiya. Ahadi inakupa mazingira ambayo unaweza kushiriki au kuelezea experience yako bila hukumu yoyote au judgment yoyote.
Mimi mwenyewe natumia ahadi na imekuwa msaada mkubwa kwangu. Ikiwa unakabiliwa na mafadhaiko ya kila siku au unatafuta kuimarisha afya yako ya akili, programu hii itakuwa rafiki yako wa karibu.
Kwa hivyo usisubiri tena, tembelea Play Store na upakue Ahadi application ambayo ni AHADI na ufanye afya yako ya akili kuwa ya kuahidi kama jina lenyewe, Ahadi. Alrighty, welcome back. So, Dr. Moira, we've talked quite a lot about being psychologists, being able to open up to our fellow psychologists, seeking help, asking for help, and also acknowledging the fact that, we do go through things, but also it doesn't make or restrict us to, seek for help and applying some of the tools, some of the techniques that we do know to help ourselves. And so we've talked about quite a lot in that area, and I just want right now to also generalize it a little bit. Yeah. And so how can people in general build mental resilience to handle life's challenges, even if they have access to professional help?
Yeah, it's such an important question. Even when you're seeing a therapist or a psychologist, I think it's really important to remember that we all have a responsibility to ourselves to be taking good care of us.
Yeah.
We are the vehicle by which we go through all of our life. And we're the only ones, once we're like grown-up people, we're the only ones really responsible for taking care of us. So I think being compassionate with yourself is really, really important. And one of the ways that compassion can show up is when something's happening that feels hard, instead of saying to yourself, like, what's wrong with me? Or why am I feeling this way? To just really treat yourself with compassion and instead say, I wonder what's going on here.
Yeah.
I wonder what's going on here that I'm having these big feelings, or I wonder what this has to teach me or show me, instead of, this idea that we were supposed to get it right.
Yeah.
Because resilience doesn't mean having no problems.
Yeah.
Resilience doesn't mean not being impacted by something.
True.
Resilience means being able to sort of bounce back and respond
After all that.
in the face of
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
But in addition to just having that framework, that mental framework, relationships, having valuable relationships in your life.
Ecosystem of relationships.
It's so important. It is the number one thing that helps people.
100%, yeah.
Yeah. And, also making sure you're checking in with yourself from often about your values. Am I living my values? Or am I living my purpose? Because you can do the same exact activity, but if someone is forcing you to do it, it can feel like suffering. But if you're going through it because it's aligned with your values or purpose, it can be the same kind of exhaustion, but it feels joyful or it feels beneficial.
Yeah. It just reminded me, so my sister told me, like, it's really important, as you said, having that time to check in. I mean, like, if before you sleep, you just, hey, how did you do today?
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you. I mean, there's just that.
Yes, I'm so proud of you too. I'm so proud in each and every one of you if you've asked yourself that question. But there's no substitute for that. There's a well-known psychologist in the United States, who went through a practice of every morning saying to herself, "Good morning, I love you."
I know it's doing.
Yes. Good morning, I love you. And because it's so easy to put all that love and care to other people and not direct it at yourself.
Yeah.
So
It just reminded me, okay, so usually every day, so my morning routine is like this. My alarm rings. Before I even open my eyes, I pray while I'm still asleep on bed. And after that, I'm like, good morning, genius.
I love it. Yes.
It's crazy. At times, I'm like, why did I even say that?
Hey,
But then
your
there is
system's
just that-
tapped into resilience there.
But then there is just that fulfillment, I think, it's really fulfilling and nice, the feeling. I mean, it has to start within us, right? Before we get the chance to hear it from another person. Yeah, we need to believe it ourselves. Like, I'm proud of you. You're doing a great job.
Yeah.
You messed up bad, but you need to, work on that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That self-talk is so important and so valuable. I mean, I know I haven't told myself that I'm proud of me enough this
I'm
week.
proud of you.
And I should. Sunday. And tomorrow I'm going to text you and be like, hello, genius. Have you told yourself that you love yourself today?
Okay, so I think, I just want to say this. I feel like I've known you for like months now, right?
Yeah.
And so my experience with you, you always give your all to other people, right? And at times I'm like, do you get time to, do something for yourself? Like, you always check in, hey Jackie, I'm proud of you. You did a great job. You're so talented and all that. I'm like, I should say the same thing to you. At times I feel like I feel guilty not to do that. But yeah, I'm proud of you. Out of all these people that are listening right now.
I really appreciate that. That's really meaningful to me.
Yeah. And so, do you have anything else to add before we move on?
I don't know. Let's think. I think, notice the stories you're telling yourself. We talked about this at the Global Health Film Festival recently. The stories we tell ourselves are so powerful.
True.
The words we use become the house we live in emotionally.
Yeah.
So really notice what those words are. And if the words you're using towards yourself are not kind words that you would say to a child that you love, check yourself.
You need to rethink that.
Yeah.
Yeah, true, 100%. I mean, as you keep on telling yourself those words, you keep on, believing and instilling all those ideas, and which may not be healthy. And so we need to also pay attention to that. All right. I kind of feel like this episode is going so fast. I feel like we're about to wrap up and I don't want to, but anyways. So before we close this session, what's one piece of wisdom or advice you want to leave our audience with?
No judge. Maybe I can cheat and do a couple.
Yes, please.
With your permission. I think, first off, I really want to say, have a plan for your self-care.
Have a plan, guys.
Yeah. We all have these red flags sometimes that tell us that we haven't been taking enough care. Yeah. And if you don't know what your red flags are, ask your friends and family. They'll be very happy to tell you. No, in fact, I learned some of my red flags from my kids. My littlest kid, when that mtoto was just a small little mdogo, would come and put their hands on my face if I seemed stressed, and would say like, "Oh, are you upset?" And I'd say, no, I'm just serious. But that child taught me that actually when I'm clenching my jaw, that's a tip for me that I need to improve my self-care. So know what your red flags are and create a plan. Like, write it down. What are a couple things that you can do in 30 seconds? Deep breathing.
You always like that one.
Memory. Yeah. Listening to 30 seconds of a song. What can you do in 3 minutes? I can text or call my friend. I can, go for a walk. I can stretch. What can you do in 30 minutes? And know them ahead of time, because it's the worst thing when you're feeling depleted or overwhelmed, or you've had too long a day. It's so easy to forget the self-care plan. Yeah. So I want to say, number one, have a plan. And I think that, the other thing that I would say is, as some advice is, really be compassionate with yourself and make sure that you are giving yourself the same generosity that you're giving other people.
Yeah, 100%. And I just want to add into that, I've actually posted it today, more like 4 words. First one is listen to yourself, empathize, support yourself, and follow up. Hey, how did you do today?
Yes.
Yeah.
The relationship that we have with ourselves is going to be the longest and most important relationship of our life.
Eternity.
Yeah. And of course, our spiritual relationships matter a huge deal. Our family relationships matter a huge deal. But again, we bring ourselves to all of those relationships. So that self-talk and cultivating that relationship with yourself, it's so good. It's so important.
It just reminded me. Okay, so I think last month, if not few weeks past, so one of the Annas caught me talking to myself. Are you talking to yourself? Is something wrong? I'm like, no, I always do this. So it's like, if I have a lot in my mind, I just find myself like, we have kind of a tiny meeting in my head.
That sounds like
we need to resolve this. So how are we going to do? How are we going to go about it? And the other side of me will be like, you need to do this, and I just respond to myself, no, you. So in the end,
that is brilliant.
Yeah, but then it may not make sense to other people, but it's fine.
Oh, I think it makes perfect sense to me. Tiny, exclusive, important meeting. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Next time I need to sort something out, I'm gonna say to myself, let me have a tiny meeting in my head. That's fantastic.
Yeah. All right, guys. So this is the wrap. I feel like, okay, so my reflection of this season, we've talked about so many things. We did try to touch and explore so many angles of, relationships and how they can impact our mental health. But just on Sunday, I was sitting and trying to reflect. I feel like there's still so many things that we need to talk about when it comes to that. There's so many things that we need to explore, and I have this need of wanting people who have experienced, with real life experiences, so that I can share on the podcast and so that other people can relate. I just want to create a platform for open conversations, and I do hope at some point season 3 will make just that. And so I'm excited for season 3.
I'm excited.
You're excited.
Yeah,
so I was just talking to Dr. Moira about season 3, and I'm looking forward for it to be more about young adults. Yeah, and I feel like there's so many issues going on, so many problems. And at some point it can be contributed by globalization and all that, but as much as I'm sad, I love doing this. I'm always excited for a recording session, but we'll take a break and see explore different angles on how we can, what kind of things that we can talk about during season 3, and also who should we, involve. We would like to hear different voices, And so I'm excited for season 3, but also I hope that this break time, as we go for a break, don't neglect Mental Glow. You can always go back and listen to that one episode that stood out for you, and share it with your friends. And also, if you have any ideas for season 3, any themes or any topics that you would prefer for us to dig deep, please reach out. Don't hesitate to reach out. You can always email us or even send a direct message, and we will get back to you. We're more excited to hear what you have to say, and so please do that. And we'll miss you guys. I'll miss you, and I can't wait for season 3. Dr. Moira can't wait for season 3. She always makes sure to tune in, so no doubt. And so it's been a blast, and thank you so much for, a huge part of, apart from my team, Mental Glow team, shout out to Yassine, the guy who's doing the graphics. Shout out to Nathaniel, he's editing all these, episodes. It's a lot going on with work and stuff, but I always make time to, do this, and I'm really grateful. And so apart from my team, I just am grateful for you guys for always encouraging me. Even at times when we haven't published any episode, you always read, hey, why are you guys so quiet? So that encourages us, and we are grateful. And we are also glad that through Mental Glow, we've been able to destigmatize mental health at some point. And we're looking forward to to reach out to so many people out there. And so, which is why I always encourage you to share the episodes to other people.
Well, I want to also say, since I'm a listener, I do want to say, we really appreciate you. It's really important. And, here I am, more of a mzee in my career. And still, every episode I tune into, I learn something, or I take a different perspective. And, I feel like my day, my week, my life is richer for it. And, not only highlights how thoughtful you are about it, but it also highlights how important it is that we all are having these conversations.
Yeah, true. 100%. Thank you so much. That means a lot. Yay! All right, guys. Thank you so much, and looking forward for season 3. Please tune in and always go back and listen to that one episode that stood out for you. Can we take care of yourself? Always check in. Hey, how are you doing? All right. Bye.
Bye, guys.